Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, AmTrust Title Insurance Company, Perfect Building Maintenance, M&T Bank, Customers Bank, Marks Paneth LLP, Capital One Bank, Collins Building Services, Meridian Capital Group. Additional support has been provided by grants from AKA Hotel Residences Corman Communities, Ariel Property Advisors, Amerant Bank, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Briarwood Organization, Chase Commercial Mortgage Lending, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Citizens Bank, Dime Community Bank, Douglaston Development Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handro Properties LLC, Handler Real Estate Organization, Hodges Ward Elliott INC, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, John Casamatides Red Apple Group, Keysight Capital Partners, Matone Group, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Ocean First Bank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Services, Stonehenge NYC, SVN CPEX Real Estate Services, Tierra CRG, the Meringer Family Foundation, and these friends. So how do you grow your business? How could you be in business for 30 years? How do you grow a business from zero to a multi-million-dollar business? So today I've assembled these three friends and individuals to talk about how they grow their business, the art and science of networking. My guests include Paul Newman, who's the Chief Inspirational Officer at Newman's Kitchen, Larry Weiss, who is the President and CEO of Atlantic Tomorrow's Office, and last but not least, Scott Major, who is the Chairman and CEO of PBM. You've been in business, what,
39 years?
39 years, 37 years. Company's been in business over 100 years. Okay, but besides that, you've been involved with the business probably 25 to 28
Close
years.
to 30 years.
Okay. How do you grow that business? Is it the art of networking? Is it the art of meeting people? How do you do that, Paul?
Well, first of all, if you want to define networking is meeting people and building trust by building relationships. We are in a transactional business in that we sell services for specific events, but really we're in the relationship business, and you can't build relationships unless you're constantly meeting people and building your network and creating trust among people who didn't know you before and now feel that they know you and have confidence in referring you to people that they know.
Larry?
So in building a business, there's many facets, right? Networking is just one. And I think probably one of the most played words and used many different words and has many different meanings to many people today. But so the way we look at networking, you know, is that it's relationships, right? And it's not who you know or what you know, but it's how well you know them, right? Because we want to leverage those relationships and those people that we have that have trust in us as trusted advisors.
So how do you pass this through to the next generation who are working for you, who are the salespeople in your organization to grow the business?
You have to, you know, educate them in what networking is. You'd be surprised how few people understand what that is. Some people think networking is just, hey, hello, how are you? You know, and you know they think just a handshake and now you're networking. But I think today people got to get involved, whether it's nonprofit organizations, whether you're coaching little league teams. You need to be out in the community. You need to be doing something within the community. And whatever that is, you get to meet other people, other business people that are there for other reasons. And as you get to meet these people, you start to form a common bond, and then And this is where I think true networking, comes to play itself is you got to be more of a giver, right? You can't be a techie. You really want to help people, achieve whatever that is they want to achieve.
There's a book that I've given out about 100 copies called The Go-Giver. And it talks about an individual who's probably in their 70s, and a young guy is a salesperson.
So I got 2 years before I can read it.
Okay? And this young guy wants sales, and he hears from somebody in his office that this individual is really the man who can introduce you to a number of people. And what happens is the older gentleman meets with the guy, and over the next 5 days of his life, he takes him out to learn how to be a giver. Because the key, as you just emphasized, was the giver. And I think that's part of growing your business. By giving service and products, which you all are doing, that's giving, but also giving of yourself, I think is important.
You're not going to expand your world every day just by taking. You're going to diminish the people that are around you. You have to continue to expand your world. And it's getting involved on boards. Probably one of the greatest networkers that I've ever met is you. Since the day I've gotten into real estate, when I was a real estate attorney, you were somebody that's always been around and always knew people, put people together. I mean, it's probably the reason you have this show is that you're just a wonderful networker and you're always giving. You could be one of the most philanthropic people I know too, but it's getting involved on boards, getting involved with organizations. You can't just give somebody a business card and get to know them. You have to sit down with them. You have to meet with them. You have to work with them. You have to go to their shop. You have to understand who they are, what their ethics are, how they do things. Then you could recommend them to your clients as a trusted advisor. You can't do that unless you really, really know.
And you talk about generational shifts. One of the things about younger buyers, they want to know that you have a good heart. They want to know that the company they're doing business with is in it for more than just making money. Whatever that means to them, and now it can be environmental, it can be about community. Whatever it is, if you can lead with your gives, even though you're not doing it for the marketing, young people want to know that they're doing business with an ethical company that sees the world in a way larger than just a transaction.
I happened to look at the websites before, and I noticed, which relates specifically what you're saying, Larry's website specifically is talking about a walk for kidney.
Right.
Okay? It's showing that the community involvement, and part of his website also shows philanthropy and how they give back. And I think that's really important in general.
So this walk that takes place November 10th, if I could throw a plug in, so we're gonna raise $1.2 million for the National Kidney Foundation. But yet, my whole company, I've got 500 employees, and I'm gonna have over 100 walkers from Atlantic that are gonna show up with their family, their friends, clients, have signed up to put a team in. And it just creates, as Paul's saying, it creates a different view of us. They view us not as a technology company, they view us as a company that does technology but has a big heart that wants to help out.
But you've been giving back in the companies.
Well, we've always given back. It's sort of my family's heritage is to get involved and to give back. But I could tell you the one thing that we have done, and we are the only company in our industry that's done it, is we are the only carbon neutral company in our industry. And that resonates with people. It really does. Everybody's talked about green cleaning and different types of things of that nature, but everybody's doing that now. We went and we had a company come in and do an assessment and give us a carbon footprint number, and then we became carbon neutral by purchasing carbon credits. We support a methane recovery plant in Schenectady and a reforestation program in Pennsylvania. And that's what people nowadays want to see. They want to see that you care about the world, that you care about the community, and that you're not just trying to grow your business.
We were talking in the green room a little bit about these networking organizations. I know that Paul and Larry have been involved for many years with a group called the Executive Association, who's been around probably 80 or 90 years.
1931.
As Scott was talking about, the C2C, which was a little different, the coaching and the peer, how these organizations help or diminish if you don't have the right people in the organizations.
Well, I can tell you, C2C is more of a peer-to-peer advisory group. I'm involved in another organization called the Metropolitan Executive Alliance. And it's there's no competition amongst the companies that are in there. There's only one person from each industry. But again, there's an extensive vetting process that goes on in order to get into that organization. I'm sure you do the same thing. You have to make sure that you're getting people that are not only the right company for that particular industry, but that they're going to hit the metrics that you're talking about. They're going to show up at the meetings. They're going to do the networking that's possible, that's necessary. They'll have the house calls and meet with people. And that's how you really get to know each other. And then you can make a recommendation. The worst thing that could ever happen to you is you recommend somebody to a client of yours as a trusted advisor, and that person fails, or that person doesn't call the person back. So you need that personal relationship with the person you're recommending.
How do you qualify that lead, that individual, as a trusted advisor? How do you make that determination that this person is somebody that you should recommend? I told all of you the story about this young company from London who came to see me last week, and all of a sudden this person wants me to recommend to somebody who I do business with, who I've done things, this company. It's wrong. I don't know anything about her. I don't know enough about their company. But certain people take it for granted that they have a meeting, they have the right to have that trusted.
I think, look, as you say, they take for granted. But as somebody who's listening, right, we can listen and then we don't need to act, right? Because if they're not willing to explain to me what they do, how they do it, take some time in doing this and develop some form of relationship over time, and show me some clients that they have, then you know what, then I'm not going to make those recommendations, and I'm probably not going to pick up that phone with them, because you can't just walk into an office and expect somebody to refer you to somebody. And I think it's overly bold for someone to make that assumption.
These groups function as a long-term vetting process. So we're sitting in rooms either mentoring and listening and doing leadership training, or exchanging ideas or learning about each other. So over a very long period of time, we get a sense of what a company can do. The best thing I can do when I'm referring someone is having done business with them personally. I can refer Atlantic because he's been doing our IT and our equipment for years, and I can speak in the first person.
And he truly controls your life, because if he cuts your IT, you're out of business.
Out of business, and he threatens that all the time.
Well, if I can go back, I think, one of the things, a true networker at a first meeting, right, is going to actually try to understand what you do and how I could help you before I even ask for anything. I mean, that's what somebody who really wants to develop a relationship, right? To come in and meet somebody for the first time and say, hey, I'd like you to introduce me to so-and-so. I think that's somebody you might want to just pass on.
You have to understand what the point of entry is into the company, how they want to get in, understand their business, how they do things. What are the buzzwords that I should be listening for before I decide that I'm going to recommend your company?
Right.
And the ethics and the morals of the person that you're recommending is
Right.
really important.
And Scott may be running an incredible company, and he may not be right for a person who thinks that they should do business with him. The company may be too small. The service, we're in the process of qualifying and disqualifying the people referred to us. We want it to be a good fit. The first thing I'll say to a prospect is, tell me about what you need. I want to make sure that that's something we do well, so that if we don't do it well, I don't want to go down the path for Scott or Larry or anyone who's referred us and make them look bad and struggle to provide the service or the product that they're looking for.
I mean, we're focusing on networking, and we're talking about networking, but a fundamental building block, right, of a good networking is having a great company and having great support, great infrastructure.
You built a business from scratch, from ground zero, okay? What do you attribute to the growth and the success of your business? How much of it was it from the meeting of other people, networking? Needless to say, you had to have a good product and provide a good service. But how do you grow it, and how has it changed over the last couple of years?
If I learned anything from my father, who spent his life trying to repeat the same day over and over in his fish market, it's that if we don't change, we're going to die, right? So all of our businesses, if you look at your business, my
Right.
business, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's completely different. It's the services, the products we offer are evolutionary, not revolutionary, but we're constantly listening. Part of what we do in networking is try to anticipate and learn from the people who may not be in our industry, but who may have access to a real estate community to understand what's going on in real estate. So we can say, okay, if that's happening, then maybe there's an opportunity for us to change our model. One of the things we're looking at right now, partly as a result of a contact that Larry made for us, is looking at cafes as a way to create an anchor within a, in this case, residential community, so that we can then do the catering and create other things. So my job is to look over the horizon, figure out what my company's gonna look like 5 and 10 years from now. Part of that is networking and looking at opportunities and evaluating them a little differently than I might have 5 years ago when I thought we were a catering company. Right now I'm saying we really need to become a hospitality company. Part of that revelation is listening to the people around me and watching them grow and expand the way they do business.
But if you follow the same thing, Larry was a copy company.
Exactly.
And you've expanded it over into a variety of businesses.
Become an IT company, sure. As the devices got connected to the network, the same clients were asking for the services. Nobody knew how to service a network, and it was just a natural transition.
And from a window cleaning.
PBM started with my grandfather with a squeegee and a bucket. And now we're,
wild.
Full service building maintenance. We also, operating engineers, janitors, security services, a metal and marble division. We still keep a window cleaning division, a painting division. We're in, 6 different states right now. It's been a big expansion.
How do you grow that sales team to be a good networker, to make the reputation that you've kept in the same consistency?
That's leadership. You have to have a mission, and you have to teach your team who you are and what you expect, and then they have to go from that. You have to have a solid team.
So my
behind
question is, how do you do that?
That's a lot of
Okay,
coaching.
each one of you work your rear off, long days and long nights, sometimes working, part of it networking, part of it meeting, running around, and giving back to the community. How do you take that 30-year-old or the 25-year-old who hasn't been out there exposed to this business? How do you train them to follow up the next generation?
Well, I think Scott said it, leadership, right? I mean,
Okay.
if you look at what we have going on now at Atlantic, right, it's the kidney walk, right? There's other things going on. There's other, events that we're supporting in the nonprofit sector, but the kidney walk is front and center right now. And so the 30-year-old that joins the company sees this and maybe gets involved with it, maybe doesn't, right? But there's another event that'll happen, and it's part of the mission.
The first thing you have to do is walk the walk. If you're doing the networking and feeding your people and setting an example that they see works for you and therefore works for them, it would encourage them. Doesn't guarantee that they're going to do it, because the excuse I get is, I'm busy taking care of clients. What I'm trying to do now is say, what does that client represent? You're doing a great job with that client. How can you create branches within that company, or who do they know? There's what's called, Matt Schwartzberg, who belongs to Execs, said what he'll do, he has what he calls a moment of power. And at the moment where you've done a great job for a client and they say thank you, that's an opportunity. And we've taught this to everyone. We say that's a moment to say, we're so pleased that you loved what we did. Is there anyone you know who you would be comfortable referring us to, and trying to use that moment to actually expand your network? Because that moment, they love you, you've proven yourself, and it's an opportunity to see if you can network with that client.
Certain people, I'm Joe, I got recommended to you from Scott Major, okay? I have no idea who you are or why you are contacting me. Scott may have given my number, or somebody said, I found this individual on LinkedIn who knows Mike Stoller. Maybe you can reach out to Mike Stoller.
Well, first of all, I don't think any of us would ever recommend somebody out without calling you first.
But I think there are people out there who don't call. They may go to a LinkedIn or a Facebook page and say, this person's a friend. I mean, there are certain people who have, I don't accept people who sell certain products, because I know what they're looking for. Anytime I see an insurance salesman, a security salesman, I know what it is.
Not a copier guy?
No, the copier guys, they know I have a small business that I don't have a need. But what I'm saying to you is, it's the quality, it's the competency, it's the individual.
Michael, that individual is someone who really is not a professional. And all of us will...
That's why you're here today.
But all of us...
Sounds like a cold call.
Right. All of us would be able to, sense that and probably hang up or, not even, take the call. Because, look, I've reached out to you and asked for a personal introduction to the law firm, in Jersey. I forget the name, but you made the introduction and we had a great meeting there. So thank you. But that's the way it's done. I mean, any other way is not going to get any traction.
How has these social media companies, the Facebook, the LinkedIn, the Instagram, helped you grow your business?
We're not that good at Facebook and Instagram. We need to hire someone in that space. But talking about LinkedIn, one of the things that's changed in the last 5 or 10 years in networking is if you make an introduction, and I do this all the time, if we get an inquiry, the first thing I do is I go on LinkedIn, I look them up and I see who they know, where they went to school, what their interests are, and I see if there are any connections that can be made.
So you can surround it.
Exactly. So if Scott says, Paul, I want you to meet so-and-so, the first thing I do is go on LinkedIn. First thing I do is say thank you. Mm-hmm. Then I go on LinkedIn and I try to figure out what connections do I have with this person besides Scott. Scott's the point of entry. I'm trying to be a trusted resource for them, right? You want me to do a great job, so I'm trying to figure out who they are. So that's different. Facebook, Instagram are critical. LinkedIn, actually, you asked the question in the green room. It's actually really important that we're updating our profiles, that we're active, and that we think of LinkedIn as another social media platform. Because if you're posting on it and you're doing articles, it's drawing eyeballs to you, it's drawing attention to you, and it's engendering trust among the people who are reading it.
If you look at the selling process, right, up until about the year 2000, it was always the age of the seller, right? The seller, it was very hard to get it was very easy to get an appointment and hard to make the sale. Today it's very hard to make an appointment, but it's easy to make the sale because now we're in the age of the customer. It changed around the year 1998, 2000. And LinkedIn is today the best way to connect and meet people, right? Because cold calling doesn't work, as you said in the green room. Dialing for dollars isn't going to work. And it's all changed, right? That's why dialing for dollars, when I first started, would work. It was a numbers game.
When all of you started, we didn't have 9/11. I mean, people at one time in your business specifically, if you remember, would go into a building, they'd canvass the building and say, do you need this? Okay, that was the way sales was done. People would walk into the building. Now, after the security situation, that ability has dropped, okay?
It may have dropped.
We still have that ability, though.
Right.
So when we get the common area of a building for a landlord, we now have a captive audience of tenants to go up, and we can go through a building and meet with them and try to upsell them additional services.
And we'll talk to the elevator operators and say, who's using a lot of catering? And maybe we'll drop off cookies or a breakfast platter for them just to make them feel good about
Like the concierge in a hotel.
It is.
Right? Same
It
idea.
is.
It's harder because of 9/11, but that's not the reason for change. The reason for change is just what I said. We're no longer in the age of the seller, where you needed to meet with salespeople to get information. You needed to meet with salespeople. So the appointment was easy. The order was hard. Now the appointment is hard. The sale is easy.
How do you find the right salespeople to your business?
It's hard.
We don't have enough
Real
time.
hard. 3.4% unemployment is beyond full employment. And what's left out there now is really difficult to get people that really want to work.
I
the
mean,
number of people that we have to interview and meet with in order to get good people.
Let's be realistic. Each one of you, you're in the cleaning and maintenance business, you're in the IT business and the copy business, and you're in the hospitality food business, okay? They're interesting businesses, but they're not Wall Street. They're not fintech. How do you get somebody to want to get involved with it?
You have to be a brand that they want to attach their personal brand to, right? So what we say is, and as we're interviewing people, we say, look, you have a brand. Our chefs have a brand. Our salespeople have. Everyone has a brand. They're building a career. So you want them to hitch their wagon for as long as they want to come on the ride with you and build their career. So you've got to give them a reason to do that. So it's incredibly challenging, and we're constantly looking at our competitors and trying to figure out who's out there who fits the culture and is capable of selling. There's culture, and then there's ability, and they have to have both.
In reality, since I know the three of you, each one of you are the ultimate salesperson for your company because you live it, you've grown it, you're there, okay? because building the reputation with the brand is a key thing. People know the brand, okay? It's not the same Rosedale Fish, okay, or Newman and Bognorf. It's not the same Atlantic. It's tomorrow's office over there. And PBM, the old Perfect Building Maintenance, is not the same PBM. It's evolved over the period of time.
Right.
But that evolution is still personal relationships, and meeting with people and getting past that.
Yeah. And our salespeople are talking to salespeople at other companies. So they're trying to say, what's it like over there? Right? So it's possible that you want to become a magnet for the best and the brightest. You want to be the place to go. But we're not there yet. You know, we're not the brand we want to be to attract the best and the brightest. We're still trying to create
Larry,
that.
last thought before.
So when it comes to hiring new sales reps, we I don't want to say we cracked the code a couple of years ago, but we figured something out, right? So we spend a tremendous amount of time working with colleges and universities in the areas where all our offices are. We go to the recruiting, and we've been doing this over the last 4 or 5 years. And once everybody gets to know you and you hire some graduates from these schools, you bring them back for the recruiting. We had a new hire class of 18 people last June of 18. June of 19, we had 32 people.
It's great. So I'd like to thank my friends, my buddies, for being here talking about how to grow a business and how networking. I'd like to thank Paul, Larry, and Scott, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.